All right, y'all. Welcome into next episode or next iteration of our veteran workshop. Um, Today, as always, we're going to start our little theme to basically start. This is basically announcements for the workshop. Before we get into any Q&A or any other sort like that, basically, this is what we're going to maintain. This is what we're going to do to make sure we have that and we have that information in there. Um, I'm hoping that this is receiving the messages so that I can actually see what people are messaging in, because sometimes it gives me an issue where it doesn't do that. I'm not sure why that is, but we'll see as it goes, I guess. Um, but yeah, this is our veteran workshop. We do this every Sunday for those who have not tuned in before or have not been in here. Basically, if you have any questions when it comes to benefits, entitlements, any other sort, basically you just got to make sure to tune in, say what you got to say, ask what you got to ask, and just go about it that way. It's the best way for, this is the best resource I can try to provide to people to basically assist them with their benefits, uh, all sorts of benefits. It doesn't matter what exactly it is. If it has to do with veteran affairs, anything related to the source, we're here to basically assist you and get you to the point where you can get your answer or help you file for a claim or get you information for entitlements for your family members or your for anybody to in general basically. uh, that's basically the easiest way to go about this. Just trying to find other veterans to, provide information for them, provide them guidance on how to process their claims, how to claim certain disabilities, what their disability ratings can be, what they can't be, what the process should be in order to do that. Um, and it's just basically just trying to find out basically how to do that. Uh, and that's mostly it. It's kind of difficult to it's difficult to answer all the questions for everybody. And it's just basically trying to assist all the veterans as possible because not everybody is aware. Not everybody is. I don't want to say educated enough because that just sounds wrong when you say it that way. I don't think people have or receive the enough knowledge. Uh, What is that headgear? Because now I have somebody. I got a trooper here that's gonna ask what is 670-1. If I'm not in the military, I'm a veteran. I can wear this cap because I'm not retired, so I don't fall under the UCMJ. So keep that in mind if you got any questions. Make it an actual question of worth if you're gonna be here. If you're just gonna try to be here to downplay or try to verify if I'm a veteran or not, I got all my veteran stuff in the background. If that's the case, we're here to assist veterans. So if you're that's what it is. I don't really understand why some people are just like, I'm here to assist veterans, and the first thing you want to do is question things. It's just like that's the problem that we have with the military community at times, where veterans are in need of help, but then you have people like that just want to come in and start asking questions instead of trying to assist other veterans and educate them. You want to just be an ass about it. Cool, that's cool. We could do that too. But that doesn't help any veterans, and I hope you are able to be an actual veteran that actually has some assistance or gain some assistance, and then hopefully you're not a resource that somebody uses, because we can clearly see that some people are just out to make statements that are there to just demean and try to use their stuff. But it's just interesting how some people. It's just interesting how some people like the first thing you do is you don't ask questions. The first thing you do is you want to insinuate and you want to make assumptions. The first thing you should always do when it comes to anything is ask questions before you make an ass out of yourself. Plain and simple. Because if you don't know what you're talking about and you just want to come in and try to berate people, it's different out here. It's just like basically I stated what I plan to do and what I do, and that's it. If you have any issues, you can check my YouTube channel where I've been doing this every Sunday weekly. I just started doing it more on TikTok. I'm doing it on YouTube, so I do multi-stream at the same time. So it's just basically to make sure to assist and tell veterans what they need to do, whether it comes to the new changes to the disability. So basically, if you're not aware about that, the disability rates have changed and they have come out. So that's something that people should make sure to be aware of, because it's only a 2.5% that we got as a increase, but the benefits still go around everyone else. So it's interesting to do that, and it's just like, just got to figure out what it is you need to do. If you have any questions, whether it's how to get a rating, what the ratings is, we basically do a live showcase. On YouTube, it's a lot easier because I put it up on screen and you will get a visual of what I'm showing you. So I will show you the regulation. I will show you where it is you have to find the schedule of ratings, basically in the Code of Federal Regulations, Title 38, Chapter 1, Part 4, which is where you get the schedule of ratings, and that's where you get the information you need, where it will tell you where your ratings are, what rating you can get. Some veterans are under the assumption that you can get a 100% rating off of anything you claim, and that's something that basically it's information that needs to be put out more, because when people are exiting the military, they are not receiving this brief or this information. They're not getting I would say they're not getting a live and direct information that is actually benefiting them and is actually assisting them. Because most of the time when you are exiting the military, you do go through the Soldier for Life program, which is basically the program that's out there to assist, but it doesn't always go there. Chris asks, I currently have a claim for PTSD that has a back pay date of September of last year that has not been decided yet. What happens if I get 100% rating from secondaries that I am about to file for? So, Chris, the way it works basically is that you basically have a PTSD claim already in. So if you were to get whatever rating you get off of the PTSD, so now, let's say we get the 100%. The other ones don't really count, it just adds to it. The issue is that your PTSD is being claimed and you already have the claim and you're waiting for that answer. So let's say that claim gets you at 90%. You are going to get back paid that 90% from last September. Your 100% rating, the secondaries that you're filing for after the fact, that starts a new date basically. So basically your PTSD will be reimbursed from this past September. So whatever the rating goes up to, so let's say you were at 50% and that rating gets you up to like 90, you are going to get that 90%, like basically that 40% increase, that's what you'll get back paid till September. Now, from whenever you submitted that secondaries, that's when you get the information on there. So that's something that you basically need to think about when it comes to that. So basically you have the information. How often do you think higher level peers change the rating decisions? Depending, Stevio asks, it depends on how you're going about the higher level review. The thing is are you providing more evidence or are you keeping it the same? Because the thing is the more evidence you can provide, because you got to remember with a higher level review, you can basically put additional information, additional evidence after the fact. So let's say there's the methods of you can just file for it regularly, which is basically saying, hey, they made an error and I need this to be reviewed, or hey, I have extra information that I'm going to add that shows that this was made an error. Those are two different things. Your rating can be changed. No, the VA says not to add evidence. The VA, I don't know why they would tell you not to add evidence. You would want to add any evidence because it depends on because it's okay, I don't have the paper because every time you get that documentation or anything from the VA, they usually send you that document in the back when you flip it over where it has the three different levels. It's like the supplemental claim, the higher level review, and then I forget what the third one is. You can submit that way. The secondaries I am claiming are from tinnitus, which is already service connected. So that's the thing, Chris. So to answer you, when it comes to filing anything, they are going off of your intent to file date. That's what they go off of. They don't go off of if it's service connected or how you inputted it in there. They're going off of when that file to intent date was. So basically, you claim the PTSD. Hey, no problem, Stevie. You claim the PTSD last September. So basically, that's that claim. So you have that claim. They're going to take care of that claim with PTSD and pay you back for that claim. Now, the secondaries that you are now claiming, whenever that file to intent date is, that's when they will do the back pay from then when that gets resolved. They're not gonna. They don't. The VA will not tie up separate ratings. The VA will not tie up separate ratings to basically get you back to September. Basically, any intent to file is different. So each time you intend to file and you file different claims, it's basically you're starting the clock on that date. That's the thing that I think a lot of veterans don't understand is that when you're filing those disability claims, your intent to file date is the date that they go off of. That is what ends up becoming your effective date. So your effective date of your disabilities will be the intent to file date. So if you filed in September of last year for the PTSD, that's your effective date for the PTSD. That's when you will get the back pay for PTSD. That will be at that time. Now, for when you filed your secondaries for tinnitus, depending on when you filed that, that is when it'll start for the next claim. So let's say that, like you said, that those secondaries on tinnitus get you to 100%. You are going to get the back pay of 100% from that date. It won't be from because you got to remember, unless they do both of them at the same time, then they might do it that way. But most of the times, what I've seen is that they are going to try to go off of the intent to file date, which is becoming your effective date, because that's when you filed for it. That's when the VA recognizes that you filed for this disability, and that's when they're going to try to backdate it to that and apply it. Then they're not going to apply it to a different thing. So, like in my case, I filed, had to appeal one, which was my ankle, but then I filed for hearing loss, and that got approved. That pushed me up to the 100%. I didn't get back paid till the beginning like I thought I would. I got back paid when that hearing loss one was applied. So that's when it becomes kind of difficult, because it's just like a lot of people think that you're going to receive, if you do multiple claims, you are not getting the back pay for multiple claims starting from the beginning one. You're going to get your back pay from whenever that one is situated. Okay, you go back to it, because then they basically see it as you are effectively 100% because of this rating. So we're going to put it when you started this rating. So like I said, unless you get the 100% off your PTSD claim, if you get the 100% off your PTSD claim, then from there, you're going to get back paid till September. But if you get the 100% from the tinnitus claim, you're going to get it after that. You're going to get it whenever you file the secondaries one. So keep that in mind. And that's something that I think a lot of veterans don't like. Like I said, it's information that doesn't get it is readily available, but the thing is people don't know that. People just think you have to make sure that you are filing everything at once. You have to throw everything in there at once. And that's why I tell people, even if you don't have all your information set and in place, using the intent to file is one of the most important things to do, because you got to remember the intent to file lasts a whole year. So you have a whole year to file anything you're claiming. So let's say today you go online, you can go to va.gov. Shit, I'll show y'all. We on va.gov. So if you're on TikTok, it's easier to view on my YouTube channel because I can show you the actual visual of everything. Because here I can't really do it. If I do it on my computer, last live, for some reason it just like froze on me completely. So I'm just doing it off the phone. But if you want to see what I'm showing people, there's a link in the YouTube. You can check it from there, and I'll show you the visual. So basically here, you go to va.gov. So when you're at va.gov, you can just go disability, how to file a claim, or file a claim online. You go to file a claim online. Oh, well, it would be the VA to have it as a downtime for this application right now for maintenance. But basically it tells you what you have to do. And it gives you that. It's down for maintenance right now, but you would basically go into this. I also have a video on YouTube that basically shows that, and it's 5 easy steps how to file a disability claim. I don't have too many tutorials on there yet. That's something I'm working on to start the next year, to have a whole bunch of those out and just start creating them now, so that start of next year, it's basically mostly all tutorials, and then the digital product I'm working on, that's going to be for everything. I've been working on it, but I want to give a more solid product out when I'm able to distribute that. but I have the 5 easy steps on how to file a disability claim. It's just going to the va.gov site. You go on there. You will hit apply. Basically, it asks you, are you a service member? Are you on active duty? Or are you a veteran? And it tells you that information. You would click on that. Once you get that information, you are going to be able to fill out information. So it's going to ask you the matter of fact, let me see if I can pull up my video. And then I'll be able to show it. I'm going to show my video while I'm doing live for a video. That'll be a first. Because I have the VA math also in there. So here it is.
File a VA disability.
Let me put this over here. So this is the video I have, the 5 easy steps to, hold on. I need to remove this because this is, there you go. So I have this video up, and it's basically the 5 easy steps to file a disability claim. So this is basically the breakdown of what it is.
Disability claim in 5 easy steps. Video,
but basically it just
But before we do, make sure to hit the like button, comment, and subscribe in order to help the channel grow and know what content you would like more of.
Like the live,
also, don't forget to turn on your notifications so that you can be one of the first to view my next video. Before we start, have you received your medical records? Have you read through and reviewed your medical records? Do you have supporting information, whether that be medical conditions noted and identified by a private doctor that are connected to your service?
Do you have a nexus letter, or do you have a buddy statement? And you need that information because that's something you need. You need your medical records, and if you have any buddy statements, any nexus letters, any statements letters, that's stuff that you want to make sure you have.
Do you have statements from loved ones,
family members,
people you worked with,
like that,
or people that you are currently working with? Documents and statements can go a long way towards reaching 100% total and permanent decision on your veteran benefits. Now back to filing a claim. Step 1, go to the va.gov website. Step 2, click on sign in and log into one of the following methods: login.gov, ID me, DS logon, or My Health Vet. Step 3, once you have signed in, you will now have your login information that you should make sure you save in a location you will not lose. From the drop-down menu, find the disability benefit information.
You can have it as a two-way factor, so I'll pause it right there. You can have it as a two-way factor where you can get messages, but it depends on how you log in. Depending on if you're doing it on a browser source, most of the time the browser source will save your password if you choose to do that. You can do that, or you could do it on the phone, and it's usually like a fingerprint thing. At least on the Android, you could do that, and that's how
you should make sure you save in a location you will not lose. From the drop-down menu, find the disability benefits. Step 4.
Step 4. Basically, you
head to the disability box and click on file a claim online for compensation.
File for a disability
Step 5.
If that's what you want to
Following the prompts and the easy-to-answer questions.
So this is where it breaks it down. So this is what I was referring to when it comes to those questions that it asks. So it asks, are you a active duty right now? Because you got to remember, if you're filing as active duty, you can do the BDD process, which is the benefits delivery by discharge process, which is the process you have to do between 180 days to 90 days from your ETS date, not from your leave date. Not from your transition leave start. It has to be from your ETS date. So I know that's a problem that sometimes runs into a lot of service members when they're exiting the military, that they have an issue with obtaining that information when it comes to that. So basically, you have to file before. So basically at like the 100, like the 210, like a month before you get to 6 months out, you want to make sure you're calling them and letting them know, like, hey, I want to do the BDD process. I need to make a phone call. I need to set up the CMP examinations for all my stuff. Before then, you should already have applied and asked for your medical records.
Questions, fill out your information and get your claim started.
Yes, no.
Now, with this information, you have all you need in order to create.
So it gives you the option here. I'm filing a claim for a new condition, or I'm disagreeing with a decision in my claim. So it gives you that option, and you click
and submit a VA claim online.
If you want to,
if you have any questions, make sure to leave them in the comments. If you have any other questions and you want some expert help, make sure to reach out to your VSO or your local organization that will help you and provide you with the tools and the necessary guidelines in order to file your VA claim. Thanks for tuning in. If you want to see the next episode of the podcast, you can check it out here, or interested in looking at a different episode, mention
in-depth, and it'll show you basically everything straight, like step by step, and I'll probably just create a file of intent but not actually do it. Annette Baker says, hello, Just Cruise. Thanks for the Q&A. I was recently denied for flat feet. It was a pre-service condition on my entrance exam. I did not go to sick call during my military time. I just sucked it up. Okay, so Annette, what is your question on that? So, because it was, so you're saying it was denied, you didn't go to sick call and stuff like that. The thing is how far along are you out of service? Because the thing is if you're out of service for a while, you want to get a diagnosis again for that thing. The thing is if it's a pre-service condition and it's already on your record, what you want to do is that you would want to go to a provider and you would want to get it shown that it has worsened. I didn't have my notes from pornologists. I was still denied. I have been out of the service for over 40 years. So the thing is has the condition worsened? Because the thing is you have to remember that filing for it, you can file that something got aggravated because of time in service. Because the thing is it should be, it has worsened. Okay. Because the thing is so it's been that long time. Do you have the medical records showing that it was a pre-service entrance condition? Because that's the thing. That's where us as veterans have a problem sometimes, and it's more difficult because it's like we have to show that it's gotten worse. Your C file from 40 years ago, like your MEPS documentation showing that they had it as a pre-service condition. That's where you need to make sure you have that. You have to make sure that you have that documentation showing that you had it prior to service. So that documentation from MEPS, if you can obtain that, which it should have it in there, should show it. Should show that you were diagnosed with flat feet when you entered the service. So, because if you have that, that's an important piece of documentation that you need. That's prior to service. Okay, so they denied it, even though. So you showed. When you went to, you have notes from your podiatrist. Did you receive a nexus letter from your podiatrist? Because you want to make sure that you have a nexus letter. Basically, that the podiatrist. I can't even talk right now. The podiatrist that has the notes, you need him to have a nexus letter. Because he's a specialist in dealing with feet. He has to put all that, and he has to show that information. He has to show that, hey, give me a second. I'll try to pull up the nexus letter. I have to find it. Give me a second. See if I still have it available somewhere. So let me see if let me share this. No, so that's not it. Give me 1 second. I did have an accelerator too. I plan on doing a supplemental class. So that's the thing. If you've already gone through that, done the nexus letter and done that, sometimes it's just a review. Because you're basically stating that you were in the military, you have that pre-service, and because of your time, the issue is that you were 40 years out from service time. So that's why you have to put in your nexus letter, did that podiatrist provide statement saying that he has been seeing you for all this time? He's been seeing you since whatever amount of time. you've been under his care or a doctor's care, or you've been wearing inserts and having special shoes for the past 40 years since you left service. Because that's one thing. He said, I'm waiting on the Twitch stream. I didn't do the Twitch stream this time, Vital. But that's where it is. Because the thing is you got to remember, a Nexus letter is helpful, but it has to show and tell that it was because of your time in service. So since you've been out of the military for that long, you have to make sure that Nexus letter is providing that statement saying that, hey, I've been that podiatrist or that medical provider. Fortunately, I can't get notes from providers over 40 years ago. No, you don't have to get the notes from them, but you can try to find information showing that this happened over the past 40 years. You have to find a way to tie that in with some sort of documentation, some sort of record, wherever you can find anything that can prove that it's like, hey, because the thing is the reason the VA gives us service members such a hard time is the fact that you are basically making a claim. If whenever you made this claim, it could have been like, you've been out of the military for 40 years now. If you made this claim 5 years ago, there's a 35-year gap between when you got out of service and when you filed the claim. So that's where the VA likes to fight people a lot, because it's just like, hey, you could have developed and gotten this worsened over 35 years, which it wasn't an issue for you, but you're deciding to claim it now. Well, the thing is medical journals, it has to be information for you. So it has to be information stating and explaining that you dealt with this issue. I know it's hard to do because it's been so long. That's why we run into a lot of problems, because it's been such a long time period for us. I was yes on answer or. So Annette, that's the best thing. That's the best thing you have to try to do is find a thing, because medical journals is basically saying that you have the issues. You have to provide the issues, basically showing somehow, some way that Vital, right now you can't create a VA account. You can find a login, but it's not going to take you in because it's not going to consider you a vet. You can still log into the va.gov. You can create the login, but it's not going to provide anything for you because you won't be able to file a claim or anything like that. And that's the thing. So the information, like I said, when it comes to a lot of us veterans that are filing so many years after the fact, we have to find a way of putting those things together. We have to find documentation that leads us back. Because in the case of Annette, she had flat feet when she came in. But since she filed 35 or 40 years after the fact, she has to show that she has been dealing with this foot issue these past 35 years. And that's where it comes hard for a lot of veterans, because it's like, I wasn't tracking I was going to need this for 35 years. I wasn't tracking I was going to need documentation to prove 35 years ago that I've been dealing with this issue. And that's where it's hard to explain, because a Nexus letter will be good. The thing is if that Nexus letter can't do it, unfortunately. Yeah, that's why it sucks. And that's why I'm trying to do these lives to try to educate veterans on this, because the thing is the sooner you can try to get this done, the better it helps. Because when you start doing stuff so far out, it makes it even more difficult for veterans to receive that thing, because the VA just sees it as like, hey, you've been injured for this long. We don't know, and we don't have any way of showing that it got worse because of the military. For Slicer, you said you got denied ED. So if you were taking medication on there and you've been out for 20 years, so when did you file for the ED? 20 years ago? Are you refiling again? Because that's the thing. If I were you, I would refile, and then it was just like, hey, if you are getting prescribed that medication, that could be a Nexus letter. It's like, look, I have been treating this, because that's the thing. In that Nexus letter, and this could go for Annette also, you have to try to find, if they can, put the information in and try to see if the Nexus letter will say that, look, this person has been having this issue since this. It's worsened. It worsened during her time in the military over doing all her military training, wearing these shit ass boots, and that's something you could put in there. Shit ass boots happen, and that's the thing. So if you have the information, that Nexus letter, you also want to try to provide it that they have that information there. You want them to put in that Nexus letter, service member went through this. And that, thank you for the super sticker. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Thank you. Thank you. That always throws me off when people actually thought it. Thank you. But yeah, that's what you want to do. You want to make sure that you have that paperwork in there. You have to have that paperwork showing that connection. Even though the time period may be so far apart, that Nexus letter has to provide that connection. Because the thing is the farther out you are, the farther out that medical provider has to provide information showing that, yes, this was connected because of her time in service or his time in service. He's been dealing with this since he got out. He's been dealing with this, or she's been he or she has been dealing with this since their time in service caused it. It has worsened, and I have been viewing them, or I have been observing them, or I have been their doctor in this situation for this amount of time. For a long period of time like that, most places do not keep your medical records. They should keep them, but they only keep them mostly when it comes to 7 years. So the thing is you having that information is just like, it's there. And like, I know a lot of problems is like, if you've been on that medication slices since all that, you should be able to do that and show like, look, you can even say that it's worsened. Your medication, you've had to continue using this medication since your time in service. It's been 20 years. You've been needing ED medication since then. You were having it in there. So that's the thing. When it comes to you, Slicer, make sure that when you're filing, you provide that information showing that you were on it while in service. Because that's the thing. You got to make sure you're showing it that, hey, you dealt with this while in service. Here's my paperwork. Here's my... That's the thing. It's hard to find damn, like, medications and prescriptions. Like, the VA makes it harder for you, and being in the military makes it hard for you because it's just like they don't give you this information, and most of the time you don't think. It's just like, you know what? Maybe I should keep this shit. Most people just be like, look, I'm out the service. Fuck this shit. I'm done with this shit. I don't want nothing to do with it, and they just get rid of all that paperwork. I'm dealing with that now. I'm 100% P&T, but I'm dealing with it for another reason. That it's just basically, I didn't keep the paperwork. I was just like, I was done. I was a year out. And it was just like, most people just like, bro, I'm done with this. I don't want to deal. I don't want to see anything. I don't want to hear this or something like that. And it's just like, you have to see that. No, Vegas, I am on YouTube. The link is on the YouTube. It's on my bio for YouTube. But that's the thing. Most people did not want to deal with it. See, and that's the thing, Vital. It was just like, it's good that you're hearing this at the beginning and you're learning from this before you get in. Because that's the thing. A lot of the times, people don't understand that. People don't realize that it's just as important to know this information when you're getting into the service than when you're getting out of it. Because most of the time, people don't know about this when they're getting out. Oh, you ship out in 3 weeks? Oh, boy. What job did you pick, Vital? What job did you pick? I don't know what job you picked. Oh, man, shipping out in 3 weeks. Hot damn. So I said 11 Bravo. He said 11 Bravo. If he's shipping out quick, it depends. I'm on open status. Oh, shit. So you're going to be needs of the army once you go through. Oh, damn. I don't like, I'd never. Nope. You ain't catching me doing that shit. Hey, man, whatever it is, you know you got my information. Just hit me up. If you got any questions while you in, stuff like that. I know some things have changed. I'm 2 years. He said, yeah, exactly. That open status is crazy. Because you can be, oh, you got to retest it. Okay, you good then. So yeah, they basically, okay. But yeah, if you're getting this information now, it benefits you because the thing is that's the thing. when you are in service, take a copy of everything. Every document that you get medical-wise, make a copy of it. If you get on a medical profile for anything, make sure that you are getting a copy of that. Because that's the one thing service members, and that's why I would wish I would be able to reach more active duty service members. Because the thing is keep a binder. So they call it a I love me binder or I love you binder, which is basically a binder that you keep where it's just like all your certifications, all your awards, all the documents when you get promoted, when you get when you re-enlist, all that stuff, you keep that in a thing. The same thing you got to do with all your medical records. So anytime you are on a medical profile, you twisted your ankle, you got seen for it. You got on a profile for like 2 weeks or whatever the case may be. Keep those documents in a binder. I have mine. I still got some of mine. I have them in my Love Me notebook book. Basically, it's a binder, and I basically have it showing, hey, I was on a profile for my shoulder. I was on multiple shoulder injury profiles. Got x-rays and all that stuff. But what did I do? I submitted those profiles with it. Because then that's an extra document. Because a lot of people don't realize that. Nah, don't. Slicer, I'll tell you this. Do not believe in somebody else taking care of you. At the end of the day, that sergeant is not going to be there to help you file a disability claim. They might. Very rarely are they going to make sure they keep everything in charge for you. So that's always you want to make sure you're taking care of yourself because you are your best advocate. You are your best person. What's up, Chris? You are your best advocate. You are your only advocate. You're your best researcher and your only researcher. You are the only one that knows what you're going through. So you're going to be the one that's filing it. So yeah, they might keep it for you, but remember, those sergeants, they end up moving. You end up moving. That information can be lost and translated. Somebody can put that in a household goods and not even realize, and oh shit, now my medical records is somebody else that got them. And it's just like, oh shit. Now I got to try to see if I can get that back. So stuff like that, that's why you want to make sure you keep all that stuff. So if you have that, if you have your medical profiles, that is an extra piece of evidence. Because the one thing I did realize, and I was talking to another member that comes onto the lives. He's been there. I helped him get. I'm not gonna say I helped him directly, but I assisted him in giving him information, and now he's 100% permanent total and retired this past June. But the information I gave him was just like, hey, you have medical profiles. That's a document that does not show up in your medical records. You can ask anybody to look through their medical records right now and tell them where it says, where is the profile section? There's no profile section. It is just literally your medical records, everything that went through. If you got put on a profile, that doesn't show up. So that's something that people need to realize. It's just like, just because it's not there, but that's an extra piece of evidence that you have. Because if you are on medical profiles for a certain injury, that is something you can file, you claim it, and now you have evidence that you are on a medical profile while in service of the issue you went through. So then that's even more evidence, service connecting, like, hey, this injury happened while I was here. There it goes. And you keep that, and that's something you can submit also. But then it comes to the fact that it's just like, hey, what if you don't have your documentation? What if you don't have that? That's when it comes to going to a medical provider. And in the instance of Slicer and Annette, it's just like, you have to show your nexus letter has to tie that time. And that's one thing that's important that people need to realize. Your nexus letter has to tie in the time from the day you got out till whenever you filed. However long that time period is, that nexus letter has to cover that, unless you have information or documentation that covers that. So a nexus letter is a letter basically that a medical provider will submit to you. That medical provider is basically a specialist in whatever the injury is. So let's say, like in the case of Annette, she has a flat feet. So with the flat feet, basically, she has to have a diagnosis. So you have to be diagnosed with flat feet. You have to have a diagnosis or information showing that, oh, it has worsened. That medical provider is going to write a letter, which is the nexus letter, which is tying that injury getting worsened and it worsening over time. And saying that he's a medical professional, he's been treating you since. Hold on, give me a sec. All right, my bad. So the nexus letter is basically explaining to you and stating from the medical professional's opinion that the injury that you have has gotten worse or was caused because of your time in service. So they're going to make sure that they state where they have to put their credentials in there. They have to put where it was, how long they've been treating you, how long they've been seeing you for this issue, and then provide that, hey, let's say the flat foot was something that happened during year 10 of your service. Yeah, you have to connect your problem with your service, and that's what the Nexus letter does. That medical provider is basically giving you that information and giving a VA rater and that CMP examiner that visual of, hey, this person has this injury, is connecting it to a time in service. Slicer, when you say Q, what do you mean by Q? What is the acronym for Q? Because, like I said, there's veterans come in here with a lot of acronyms, and I'm always confused. So it's basically that information there, and that is tied in for your information. So it's basically tying you to whenever you got out, whatever the time period is, whatever that separation time is, it's connecting that to your time in service. And that's the thing. Most of the time, that's what, like I said, it's hard for veterans to prove that sometimes, because if you are filing so far out, the VA, you have to show the VA that you've been dealing with this for the past 20, 30, 40, 50, however long it's been, you have been dealing with this issue. Because the way the VA looks at it is just like, if you filed 20 years down the road, it's just like, you haven't had this issue. How do we know that you are dealing with this issue because of your time in service? Because if you went 20 years and you don't have nothing in service showing it, it's kind of hard to do that. It allows a vet to backdate. What do you mean by backdate? Oh, yeah. Oh, that's what, by the Nexus letter. Yes. It is basically, but it is having a medical provider do it. Because the thing is a lot of people forget. Sometimes you can use a buddy statement for that, but it takes certain things. Q mean clear and unmistakable. Okay. So it depends when you're talking about a clear and unmistakable error, that it's basically in the writing. It has to be like it. So this is what I tell people. When it comes to VA raters, you got to remember that some of these people are not medical professionals. So what they're looking at is what is being provided to them. The other thing is that you got to remember there's so many VA raters and there's so many veterans. A lot of these VA raters have to go through multiple veterans. Like I started breaking it down. I was like, look at a VA rater. They work Monday through Friday, right? So let's say that's 20 days out of the week. If you have any 20 days out of the month, let's say, you have to go through how many vets within that 20-day period. That's not counting if you get pulled one way or one topic gets pulled more than the other, or one veteran you have to do more research than the other. But it's just like a lot of the time, sometimes they're speeding through this information. They are not going to dedicate the time to make sure that your claim is a claim that they go through line by line. You would think that, but at the same time, it doesn't happen. So that's why it's on the veteran to make sure that it's just like you are providing that clear information where it's like You have everything, X's crossed, I's dotted, everything is perfect on your claim. Because the thing is some of these people speed through it. And like I tell people, when it comes to making claims and you are filing and putting in documentation, if you are submitting pictures, remember, these VA raters go off of Control F. They control find or control search in the document you provide them. Pictures are not searchable. So if you have a picture of something that you scanned and it's just a picture and it doesn't show up as a PDF, it's not going to populate. That's not going to show up. You can Control F, like you can pick just any PDF that you may have. If you Control F and try to search for a specific word, or find a picture within that PDF that it was a scanned picture of it, and try to Control F something that's on that picture, you won't find it. Yes, and that's why there is a backlog. The thing is a lot of the VA raters aren't trained properly. And the thing is a lot of the VA raters are put under so much stress to make sure to do so many claims at a certain time. So it's not like you give a VA rater is just like, hey, Slicer submitted his disability claim. Let's give Slicer 3-4 days to do one claim, to take care of Slicer's disability claims. The VA rater ain't doing that. The VA rater has to have so many, they have to basically reach a quota of how much stuff or how many veterans disability claims they go through per month. It's not like they get 20. It's not like you get a day per person. For some, it's easy. For some, it's not. But at the same time, if you're telling me I have to go through like at least 40 people's stuff in 20 days, and then you have a person that has 900 something plus pages, and they have their stuff that is just like full of information, but it's not separated. Like I tell people to create PDFs of just separate documents. If you have a back injury, everything that's back should be put into one document. Put all those pages together, put it as one PDF, and submit it as back evidence. Ankle injury, everything you find in your medical record, ankle injury, and submit it as evidence that way. That way, that VA rater can find it directly and see it. It's just like, oh, he has a back injury document. Let me look at this. Then he can search through that, and he knows everything that's in there is just your back problems. Ankle injury, everything is ankle injury. If I gave anybody in this chat right now a 900-page document, and I need you to find everything that says everything about my back injury, how long is that going to take you? Better yet, how dedicated are you going to be to find information for me? My medical record had 982 pages, and that was just the first document. The other document had other stuff in there. But the first one that had everything for my 10 years was 900 something pages. And that had all my physical therapy appointments, all my medications, all my stuff. And it was just like, that was over 10 years. But the thing is I made sure I went to get seen for everything. So, Slicer, I said, that's what you're going to do, Control Find. But how hard are you going to really start looking for somebody else's stuff? You're more concerned with making sure you can find your information or get your job done, which if it means, hey, I need to have Slicers, Abdil's, and myself and Cruz's files done by the end of the day. I got to go through 4 or 5 different files to get them corrected and gone through. I'm not going to be able to Control F and make sure I go through every piece of information that you provide. That's why it's just like, they human too. That's the one thing we got to realize. They're human too. And I don't think they get paid enough to go through all that stuff and be pinpoint accurate. Is it messed up? Yes. Can I blame them? Yes and no. We need more people. We need more resources. We need better ways. But then we also need to educate veterans on, hey, how do we help the VA go through this faster? Let's teach veterans how to actually file correctly. Let's teach veterans how to do a fully developed claim. Not a claim that has to be gone and observed and found out, and then they got to do so much research to make sure that this is correct. If you are submitting a fully developed claim, it lessens the time that it takes to get the stuff. Because the thing is you're providing everything. You're providing the imagery. You're providing the MRI or the X-ray. You're providing the buddy statements, the buddy letters. You're providing the nexus letter. You're providing the documentation that shows. You're providing your medical records in the military, outside the military. It's like, look, I'm claiming this. When you have it that way, you're easy to take care of. But when it's just like, hey, I've been dealing with back issues, and you just filed back issues, they're going to be like, what back issues? What are you talking about? When did this happen? How did this happen? I was just like, that's how we get that backlog. And if it's a VA rater has enough certain amount of time, they're going to be like, look, denied. I couldn't find this shit. I didn't want to look too hard for this shit. Denied. And that's why we have that backlog. But the thing is also veterans need to understand, you need to appeal. If you know your shit is there, appeal. If it's not, what you can do is you file more information. But then again, you can file the information that's there. And then if you notice that it's not correct, correct it. Go more in depth on it. Go more in depth on the information. If you had that back injury and you just submitted that whole file, do what I tell you. Just go separate every single moment you have a back injury or back claim or anything that had to do with your back, separate it as a separate document and submit that back. It's not going to be new evidence. It'll just be the same evidence, but now you've specified and showcased and everything. Shit, you can even highlight parts of the document to show, look, says it right here, says it right there. This is my back document. Now I'm resubmitting because I'm appealing that y'all said it wasn't service connected, but all this documentation shows where I dealt with this issue while in service. You submit that back. It takes time, but at the same time, people got to realize you're going to get back pay. That's what a lot of people tend to forget. You're going to get back pay if you do it correctly. If you do it correctly. You shouldn't be refiling to refile. The only time you refiling for any issue is if you are out of that 1 year period, where it's basically the VA gives you a year to appeal any of the decisions that they made. So once that year has passed, that's when you are reapplying or refiling. If you are within that year or within the time period that they give you, appeal. It's going to take time. The backlog is ridiculous. But at the end of the day, if you are making sure at the end of the day when you appeal that all your information is correct, it is placed how it's supposed to be, it is put in how it's supposed to be put in, it is highlighted that, like I tell people also, you need to be able to create a disability claim that you can, like, let's say you can hand it to another veteran and they'll be able to tell you what it is. If you yourself cannot look at your documentation that you are filing and know what the hell it is you're filing for, you need to fix that. Because that's where we have the problem. We are not submitting fully developed claims. We are submitting half-assed claims. Sometimes we're submitting the right documentation, but we're not submitting it in the proper manner. It took me 30 years to be service connected for migraines after placing it in 7 times. And that's the thing. It takes it's harder, Annette, when you've been out of the service for longer. That's where most veterans have the issue. The longer you've been out of service and the longer it's been since you filed any sort of claim, that's when it becomes such a difficult time to provide that information. Because the VA looks at it as like, man, you've been out 30 years? You've been out this? It's just like, so Slicer, if it's like that, when you file a Q claim, the thing is if it's proven that it's that, then it goes to when this originally started. Because the thing is most of the time they'll appeal, but then they want to go on the appeal decision date. If it was like unmistakable error on their fault that they messed it up, then they're gonna go back to the file to intent date. Because then it's just like, oh, we messed up. We messed up when he first claimed it, which was 3 years ago. we're going to back pay you those 3 years because we messed it up. But if it's just like you file the appeal and they still don't find it wrong, then it's just going to be like, well, bro, we're going to pay you when this appeal was done. Or when what they usually do is that they go back to the file to intent date. So do I have a degree? What? Yes, I have a degree. TikTok questions be crazy. But yeah, so that's what it is. So it depends, but it has to be a clear showing that they made that mistake. And I can assure you the VA is not going to try to make sure that they prove that they were wrong. That's for sure. that's a surefire thing right there. They're not going to be like, yeah, we fucked up. We caused this. We messed up. They're not going to do that. You have to show that it was a mistake. As long as you're showing it was a mistake and it's there. Because the thing is you got to remember, if you are now filing extra evidence on top of it, it's hard to say that they messed up when you put in more info. Now, if it's you filing for the appeal and it's the same documentation, you haven't changed anything, you haven't done anything, then it's easier for a mistake to be proven because it's just like, look, I didn't change any of the information I provided to y'all. Y'all still denied it, and this was the information that was there. That was a mistake on your part. But now if it's like, hey, you're filing and you're putting it in there, hey, Jeanette, appreciate you stopping by. If you're submitting more stuff, then it's just like, hey, we didn't make a mistake. We just didn't read your new stuff. Then it's hard because it's like, how do you explain that? How do you visualize what they see and didn't see? Then that's why it's difficult. Like, I wouldn't say it's a loophole, but that's like a loophole they kind of have. It was just like, it's hard for me to say that I made a mistake if you're providing me extra information to look at to try to validate your claim. Now, if it's a mistake I made and your claim is concrete and you sent that information, then it's not, then yeah, they messed up because you didn't provide anything else and it showed that they were wrong. So that's the one thing that people need to keep that in mind. It's a tricky situation dealing with it, but it's just like, it's more we got to educate veterans to understand, like, we need to file properly. We need to make sure we have all our information there. Because the thing is all it is giving us a headache dealing with anything, really. It gives us a headache because we have to try to provide and prove. We have to prove that they messed us up when they know they messed us up. Crazy, isn't it? That's the real crazy part. I have to provide proof that you guys did what you knew you did to me. That's always something that's bothered me ever since I went through the process. But then it's also, why aren't y'all doing a better job of making sure veterans are more educated when it comes to this process? And that's why I tend to do these. That's why I started doing these, because I went through that same process. I went through that same process where I wasn't educated on these things. I wasn't notified what I was supposed to do. I wasn't like shown like, hey, this is how you file a claim. This is how you put things together. This is what secondary conditions are. It was just like, who the hell knows what a secondary condition is? It was like, nobody hears about that. They just tell you file your disability claims, file the issues you have, and have at it. They don't tell you about secondaries. They don't tell you, oh, you know that this could be causing this, and that's the reason why that one is worsening, or this one has been aggravated because of this one. They don't tell you about that. But that's stuff that is just like, as veterans, we have to make sure we are educating ourselves on and others to show like, hey, excuse me, this is what information is needed. This is what you need to file. This is how you go about filing. Like, the va.gov site, this site provides a ton of information. A ton of information. But do you know how overwhelming this site is? As a veteran that is just getting out and they tell you, oh, go to va.gov, find the stuff. I was just like, I did this a couple of weeks ago too. It was just like, find what a disability pay is on va.gov. Did my camera shut off again? Is my camera overheating that much? Yes, it is. Okay, had to go without the camera. The camera seems to have overheated for some reason. My house is getting hot now. The temperature is dropping down. Oh, Political Candy, thank you for becoming a team member. Appreciate that. But bro, the amount of that's the thing. This website doesn't even show you everything. It shows you a good amount of the stuff that's available, but the amount of links and the amount of stuff to just get to what you're looking for is crazy. And the thing is it does have a search option. So you can click on search and you can type in on whatever it is, like how it shows it here is the search option. You can click on that, but it's still, sometimes it provides you information that isn't even there. Like sometimes it's the outdated web link that is shown on there. And you're just like, how the hell, why are you showing me like 2016 information when I just searched for this? Like, it doesn't like eliminate past stuff. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Like one thing, where is it? You got the family member benefits. You click on that, and it gives you this. Then it's a whole bunch of links that it breaks it down to all this different stuff. That's all the different ones you can click on. Then you go to education. This is all the different stuff. Get education and career benefits, manage education and career benefits, more information and resources, related VA benefits. And then it goes to get education, and look, now you got all these different links. That's just for education. Helpful tools. Manage your education. More information and resources. So it's like all these sites cause an issue because of the fact that it's just like, to a person that does not know what they're looking for or how to look for it, this is an overwhelming website to deal with. This is beyond like, it's just crazy. Like, I got to find all this information. I got to dig in through all this. And it's just like, I can see why a lot of veterans give up, because it's just like, I don't know what the hell I'm looking for. I'm not sure where I'm supposed to be looking at. Also, this information is not coming to me properly. It's not showing me what it's supposed to. So now I have to deal with it in a manner where it's just like, I need to find this information to obtain it and actually find something beneficial from it. And it's hard to do that. But if you notice here, in all of this VA.gov site, there's nowhere where it actually tells you, hey, this is how you file. Yo, what's up, Dash? Said the VA would save more money not doing CMP exams for credible evidence. Scheduling unneeded exams are a waste of time and money, which creates the backlog. That is also true, Dash. The other issue is that a lot of times the contracting of the CMP exams is a lot of the waste of money. Because you got to remember, these people are getting paid. And it was just like, I was like I said, I watch a lot of stuff on YouTube. I tend to try to find other resources on YouTube that when it comes to like VA attorneys, VA law firms and stuff like that. Those are the channels I like to watch, because some of the other channels, like I said, some of the other channels are just like gaslighting the shit out of veterans to basically tell them like, oh, this is what we're doing. This is what we're going through. This is what y'all going through. This is what y'all got to look at. And it was like, this is how you get your rating, or this is how you get these numbers and stuff like that. And it's just like, bro, you gaslighting the shit out of people thinking it's just like, you're going to get 100%. I was just like, not everybody's going to get 100%. I was just like, you have to work hard to get 100%, but you have to prove it. A CMP exam is just like, I see. The thing is, so it's called, so Dash, the thing that they have is, this is something I learned through one of those VA channels. It is called the VA provides a duty to assist. So that's what they call it. It's a duty to assist. It's good, Mosey. It is a duty to assist veterans. So what they basically say is that within their duty to assist, I forget what the regulation, like the law is. That's why those attorneys, I was just like, I want to get them on this, on one of these lives. But they were basically saying that the VA is basically, that's why those CMP exams are done. Because it's basically, they have to do a duty to assist, which is basically, they have to ensure that they are doing what they have to do to make sure you are being assisted, which means conducting a CMP exam, which means getting somebody contracted, which means spending money outside of the VA to get somebody that has nothing to do with the VA to evaluate you. Which is a problem that we run into a lot, because a lot of the times that contracting is done, why and how? By somebody that is not military related. If you have no idea what the military is, how the military service members gone through, if you don't know what a damn ruck march is, you don't know what going through air assault is, you don't know what EIB or a cab is, or what a deployment is like. If you don't know none of these instances, it's kind of hard for a person to actually evaluate you, in the fact that it's just like, if you notice, you get a lot of veterans that say when they go to a CMP exam that those CMP examiners are looking at them like, nah, bro, you lying. I'm 100% PNT too, also, Mosey. I was just like, they look at you like, nah, bro, lying. He lying. They most of the time, that's what you hear from a lot of veterans with these CMP examiners, that they try to downplay what it is you're claiming. And it's just like, you're getting downplayed because these people don't know what you, like, if somebody's been in the damn service for whatever amount of time, you've been doing ruck marches, you've gone to the range. I got the Mosey, I got my baton. I was actually gonna wear that shirt today, but I didn't. The baton death march. I have my t-shirt. I did it. I did that one. And that shit is no joke. Doing those ruck marches, or you could do the Nijmegen, which is the one in it's the Netherlands, where they do like the 25 miles per day. I think for 50. I think it's like 2 days. It's like, boom, I got shit in the shop. Ooh, dry. Dang, that sucks. But it's just like, those things is like, you do that. But if you don't know what any of those things are, you don't realize that, hey, throughout the years, you are running a lot. You are putting a lot of pressure on your knees. You're putting a lot of pressure on ankles. You're putting a lot of pressure on your back. When you are doing ruck marches, a civilian person that has never done or dealt with the military has no idea what a ruck march is. Tell somebody out in the street, it was just like, hey, I need you to go 12 miles with this big ass bag that weighs however amount of whatever we put into that shit. Mind you, because 45 pounds is the minimum. That's the minimum that you have. Don't mind the fact that you may have a 249, a 240, ammo, your weapon, or whatever else you have, and your bag on top of that. So it's just like, woo. And then you tell them, it's just like, yeah, I used to do this like monthly. Yeah, the extra mags you get today, like, you have all that. Tell a person, I need you to go 12 miles and do that monthly. The human back isn't supposed to have that much weight on it all that much. But depending on what unit you in, if you were infantry, you were doing that shit all the time. Other units, maybe not as much, but you were still doing it. So that gets taken into account. It's just like, you tell somebody, it's just like, I think I want to do that. I think I should do that, like, as a YouTube, like, social experiment. It was like, hey, you want to see what the Army's like? See that bag there? I need you to carry that for 12 miles. 6 miles out, 6 miles back. You got to do it in like less than 3 hours. I'm gonna be like, what? Be like, I got to do it in what? I got a time limit too? It's just like, that'll probably be the first thing, the first thing was just like, I got a time limit too? I got to do it in under 3 hours. It's just like, what? I was just like, if I was just 12 hours and I could take my time, it's probably a lot easier. But no, you got to do it in a certain time. So you got to make sure you do 15-minute miles. And they're going to be like, See, look at that. And they say 12 miles with nothing else is tough alone to do. Now do it with all that extra weight on you. And it's just like most people don't understand that. But imagine a CMP provider doesn't understand that. That's why it should be like they should find a way to hire more veterans to do these CMP examiners or people that are medical providers. Like the crazy thing is like you have so many medical providers that some are prior military and you should be using them as a resource. I don't care where they're at, hire them because they understand that. For my examiner for my separation health assessment said, even though I had flat feet, back and neck problems pre-service because of airborne operations, she said in her opinion, it was aggravated by service. It was just like, but that's the thing. It was just like assessors that know, those CMP examiners that know how the military operates is a lot easier. It's just like people don't understand that. That's an evaluation that people just don't understand, and that's the thing. That's why there's those pre-service conditions because they understand a lot of the military. They understand, the VA understands. It's like some of these issues that veterans deal with. We know we gonna mess you up. And that's the thing. We know we're gonna mess you up. But the thing is that's why they want you to file within a year of getting out, because then it's like it's easy for them to be like, yes, you were injured because of your time in the military. When you're out of the military for whatever amount of time, that's when it becomes difficult. Because the thing is just like your back doesn't get any better. Like I got degenerative disc disease. My cartilage ain't growing back. I ended up with 100% PNT because that's static. Because they know, bro, this dude's back is just gonna get worse. But at the same time, if you don't claim that and it takes you like 10, 15, 20 years, anything that happened there, the military can aggravate. But the thing is when did you file? Because we were just talking about earlier with Annette on the live. She basically said that she filed for it she's been out of service for almost 40 years. And she's been dealing with inserts and has special shoes and all that stuff. The thing is her stuff got denied. Why? Because it's been so long of a time period from when she got out of the service. So she has to provide documentation or a way of showing that she's been dealing with this for the past 40 years, 30 years, 20, however long it takes people to file a claim. You have to provide that information or that nexus letter from that provider basically saying, hey, you were dealing with this for the past 20, 30, 40 years. I've been seeing you for the past 10, past 15. When you came to me, I saw and you told me that you had been dealing with this for this amount of time. That little statement right there can make a big difference in your nexus letter. Because the thing is if a doctor's just like, yeah, I've seen this person for 5 years, and during their 5 years they're dealing with this and it's because of the service, the VA is going to be like, okay, that was 5 years. What happened to the years in between time? I have a CMP exam. Tim Wilkins says, I have a CMP exam for multiple things. They calling it a general examination. Is that normal? The reason, Political Candy, thank you for the gifts and thank you for following. The reason they're calling it a general examination is because it's going to be a full-fledged examination, Tim, on everything you have. So it's not, because the thing is most of the time if it's a CMP compensation and pension exam, it's for this thing. So you get that CMP exam for your back. If it's a general examination, it's going to be like, hey, you got back injuries, shoulder injuries, this injury. It's the same thing. They're just going to make sure that they evaluate everything there. So instead of making it that you are having multiple CMP exams for all these different claims, you are going to go through one CMP exam that goes through all these claims. So you can have 5 different claims. It could be 5 different joints, 5 different body parts, or 5 different things. They're going to evaluate all 5 of those things instead of sending you to a CMP exam to 5 different ones. So basically, is there a way to try to save time and money by sending you to one CMP examiner that's going to cover all of your situation instead of sending you to 5 different people to check those situations, which I'm not sure how well that works when it comes to CMP examiners. But like I said, it depends on the CMP examiner. Like you have Dash, which has said like his CMP examiner made sure to put stuff in there. My CMP examiner did the same thing. Added shin splints when it was the ankle issue, and I explained what was going on, and she was like, "Yeah, that's shin splints. Have you dealt with that before?" I was just like, "Yeah, I dealt with it while I was in service." What do they tell you? They just put you on a profile. I told her, it was just like, look, they put you on a profile, tell you not to run for a couple of weeks. Shit gets a little better, and then you go run again, and then you right back over there because you got shin splints again. And she was like, okay. So she filed and added the claim of shin splints onto my claim. I didn't put that in there. And for Dash is the same thing. When he explained like it was back injuries. The CMP examiner went out of their way and did it and put all the other things. When I spoke to my CMP examiner, she was just like, yeah, I've dealt with a lot of veterans. She was like, my family was in the service. When she said that, I was like, oh, at least she knows. That is easy, because it was just like, and then I had to explain to her. I was just like, well, she was like, why do y'all have so many claims like this and stuff like that? Why is it that it's all like? And I told her, it was just like, well, this is something that doesn't get explained to service members. But she was like, are you serious? I was like, yeah, most service members don't know what the process is to file claims correctly, or how to file, or what to go about, like how to go about doing it. Like a lot of veterans think that it's just like, look, I filed a disability claim. I went in there. I did the CMP exam. I showed what was wrong with me, and they denied it. And then some of these veterans get upset. It was just like they denied my claim. But the thing is that veteran failed to provide a nexus letter, failed to provide a buddy statement, failed to provide medical record or anything of the sort that would help contribute to it being service connected. And that's where that's where we run into a problem as veterans. If you don't have that information and you don't have that knowledge, we're basically set up for failure, which is the problem. As veterans, we are being set up for failure because this is not explained to you. Like, I've been trying to reach like the buddies I have now that are getting out. I've gotten a couple of out, and they've gotten their 100% PNT just off me explaining to them like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is how you file it. But like I said, for people transitioning out of the military, it's 10 times easier to get their rating and their percentage higher than somebody that's been out of service. Because the thing is if you're just getting out of the service, your documentation is a lot clearer. Yes. And that's the thing, Dash, is like people go through these experiences where you have a lot of service members that don't get this information. They don't know about this information. They don't hear about it. They don't understand. It's just like, you know what, this is what's going on. This is what you're dealing with. This is how CMP examiners go about it. I was just like I said, some veterans go through the process of dealing with somebody that is not trying to be helpful. Some service members are not. Some service members go through that. Whereas the CMP examiner, like I said, got nothing to do with the military. Have no idea what the military does, what they've gone through, what are the things that go through, and they just go off of, oh, you're claiming your back hurts. My back hurts. I could say that too. You see what I'm saying? They go through that mentality. But like I said, just explaining a ruck march to somebody that's never been in the military, they're going to be like, you did this how many times? Also, depending on the unit. Because some units is like, hey, we do a ruck march. It might not be the 12 miles, but we do a ruck march every week to build up for the end of the month to do the 12 miles at the end of the month. Some people do it that way. That's not even adding in all the running that we're doing throughout the week on top of that. Then the random ass PT sessions. Do you have a VA website that narrows down the terror exposure for veterans? Yeah, you're going to do 6 miles at the end of basic training, Vital. You're going to do a 12-mile ruck march after you've been in the field for 3 days. You're going to be in the field for 3 days. They ain't going to try to let you sleep that much. You're going to be pulling like fire guard, and they're going to try to keep you up for most of the time and only give you like 4 hours here and there. And then at the end, you're basically like your victory thing is a 12-mile ruck all the way back. The Terra thing. I Let me see. Let's find one in it. That's what we're gonna do. So, see, look, this is something PACT Act and your VA benefits. PACT Act, file a disability claim. What is that? What does it mean to have presumptive condition for toxic exposure? Toxic exposure screenings. On the VA home website. There you go, Annette. So VA at Home is a new VA program using telehealth to serve veterans of military environmental exposures. In fact, VA at Home, hold on. Move this a bit there because I know it can't be seen fully on there. Let's see if I'll make it smaller. Does that help? Let me know if y'all can see that well. But I just put that link there. Should provide the information basically for VA at Home, which is the Veterans Exposure Team, Health Outcomes Military Exposure. So this might be what you're looking for in that. Can't absolutely be sure, but it does have it here. So if you scroll down, it does have see the 3 balls, Fulbright, the 3-star medic policy. Extreme. Like I'm telling you, there's just like you keep on doing those ruck marches, them shits take a toll on your body. It's something that's been proven. It was just like you can find probably studies and medical journals that show that extra weight on your back is not good for you. But then the thing is you have leadership that sometimes don't care. It's just like, hey, we got to do our 12-month march, so we're going to keep rucking, and I like to ruck. And then all of a sudden, it's just like you have people that have bad knees, bad ankles, bad backs, and stuff like that because of their rucking, and people don't understand that. And then all of a sudden, it's just like, and then what pisses off veterans more is just like, not service connected. Like, boy, you know what I'm saying? It's just like, but you mean to tell me that I've been doing all these rucks all this time? But that's the thing. Find me, look, I'll say this. Find me a veteran that has a list of every single time they did a ruck march. Find me a veteran that has every single time they ran. Find me a veteran that shows every single ACFT or APFT they took. Just find that. Find me any veteran. Find anybody you know, anybody you served with, or actually took note of every single ruck march they did, every single type of training they did. You gonna ruck. But find me a veteran that actually keeps any of that information. There's no veteran. You are not going to find no service member that tracked every single time they ran, every single time they rucked, every single amount of push-ups they did, all that stuff. Every time they did like deadlifts or whatever, you are not going to find any service member that actually has a count on that. Now, imagine we were to actually tally up all the miles we put in. And then tell that to a damn C&P examiner. Well, you know, I jotted down every time I ran. I ran over whatever amount of damn miles in my time and years in the service. I have a tracker here that shows every single mile I ran. And that's why I have knee problems. What C&P examiner is going to deny that? You can't tell me you can't deny that. It was just like, look, I ran this many miles over this many years and did this many rucks with this amount of weight on my thing and all this stuff. And it was just like, which C&P, what VA provider is going to be able to say, no, that is not why your shit hurts? They won't be able to. But the thing is no service member does that. No service member has an account of all the stuff that they did. Most service members, shit, Most veterans can't remember every single time they got injured, and some of the shit that they filed for, they don't think of till like years after. It's just like, you know what? I did mess up my knee that time. I was limping for like 2 months. And then they remember it was just like the shit healed up. Then you forgot about it. It just doesn't happen. But that's the thing. That's why we got to educate our active duty service members. We gotta educate them on this. It's like, bro, make a note of all this shit. Make a note of all of it. But us as veterans, we didn't do anything. That weighs 50 pounds. You got your. It depends, because most of the time it depends on if they have you put your. Sometimes they have you put your IOTV or your plates and everything on when you're doing a ruck, or sometimes they have it put it in your bag. That alone is a whole bunch of weight. You have water and stuff like that. And then the thing is the requirement is 45 pounds. So my unit, we would weigh you. You know what is funny? Because you would have some guys that would literally bring a 45-pound plate and just put it in their fucking bag. I was just like, you ain't going to question how much weight I got in my shit. I got a 45-pound weight. And they just put it in their bag and do it like that. Is that healthy? No. But since they know they're going to require you have to have 45 pounds. So most of the time people put their IOTV with all their plates. They put in extra clothes. Your water source don't count, because your water source is supposed to be on you or on your flick or whatever. So the water source don't really count. You have a Camelback. Put that. It was just like, they don't. All that stuff is there, but you have to make sure there's 45 pounds worth of weight in there. And when you start putting a lot of clothes in there, it does. You start putting a lot of shit in there. You start putting your military boots in there. You put your winter boots or your summer boots, whichever one you want to do, because them winter boots is pretty heavy and they thick as hell. They put that in there. You put your IOTV. You put your rate. You have your E-tool. What else you got? You just basically put whatever equipment, or sometimes they have a designated list of what you need to make sure you have. Standards are different across units, but most of the time it's 45 pounds that they're ensuring that you have in there. Some will weigh it, some will not, but you're still going to do the ruck regardless. Whether it's lightweight or not, you're still going to do it, and then at the end of the day, it comes out. A extreme. Like, a lot of the stuff in the military now is outdated. I'll say that. A lot of stuff is outdated. Some stuff needs improvement. Some needs this. There needs to be improvisation on a lot of the things, and just improvements on stuff too. Because a lot of stuff that was done back in the day is not done now. Now most of the time we don't need all that stuff, because the thing is if you're going in on anything like that, you're going light. Ain't nobody carrying 50 plus pounds or 100 plus pounds of shit going anywhere. You gonna be in your vehicle and you're gonna get dropped off in a certain area, and then there's probably you gonna have your fob or whatever all the way back in whatever area, and that's where you're going back to. It's only certain people that do that. Most people is just like, that's what they like to train you for, and it's just like, it's outdated, because ain't nobody fights like that. Nobody fights carrying all that damn equipment around. Even if you went to OEF, OIF, or all those damn ones, when were you always carrying all that shit? You weren't carrying all that shit around. So it's just like, it depends. But some shit changes, some don't. And that's the mentality, and that's the way of looking at it. But here you go. If you haven't registered, here y'all go. And the thing is also, when it comes to the TERA, the toxic environmental exposure, toxic exposure team, or toxic exposure, I can't even talk right now. You have these registries. So now they're making different registries, and they're trying to like separate the registry. So you are going to file a PACT Act claim. So the PACT Act claim is not going to change. The thing is that they are going to try to make sure you are in the correct registry. Because what they're basically trying to do is if you haven't received like one of those surveys or something like that from a VA, they are trying to see what is what. They are trying to distinguish what injuries or what is coming from what. So if you have Agent Orange registry, what is developing within that Agent Orange registry of veterans? what diseases, if it's certain cancers or whatever, what's developing there, so that way it's an easier way of basically. I think what they're trying to do is like basically like foresee basically what is going to happen within this. Because the thing is you got to remember, airborne hazards and open burn pit registry, that's going to be all of Afghanistan and Iraq. But the thing is remember, with that airborne hazards and and the burn pit registry, there's also a lot of other areas that fall into that criteria. It's not only Iraq and Afghanistan, it's all the other locations all there. Because you could have been to Kuwait, Qatar, Jordan, and other places, and you still fall under the toxic exposure for the burn pits or something else. So basically what I think they're trying to do is that they're trying to basically make it like, hey, if airborne hazards and open burn pit registry, if these people have filed and these people have developed this sort of cancer, this is something that we can now put together and say, hey, if these people are now serving, because we're still in those areas, people still get rotational deployments in those areas. If I know that crews was deployed to this area and this is the kind of things that are there, I can notify this veteran ahead of time like, hey, maybe you should make sure that you are conducting this kind of screening for this disease or this cancer in a couple of years after you're out of service. Because our records are showing that all the people that served in Iraq and Afghanistan are developing this cancer or this disease, or they're developing this or stuff like that. So it's just like an easier way for the VA to be like, look, make sure to check this out. We're going to pre-service, like not pre-service, but like presumptive connected because of that. Because I'll tell you what, chemical weapons that were used in Desert Storm will be the next Agent Orange. The DoD denied it happened, but yeah, but that's the thing. Is like that's what because that one I think the Gulf War registry, and that's why they have a separate registry for it. Because the thing is they want to start putting those, they want to start separating all those issues that veterans have dealt with, so that way it's easier for them later on down the road to be like, you know what, this person has this. I can service connect this to this because this person served in this area. So, because you see that they already have. Where is it? Let me see if it has a presumptive. Because there's already presumptive claims. There's already stuff that they're saying like this is something that we know people are dealing with. But the thing is what are they? What are these presumptive conditions? What are these ailments that service members are doing? Because they have a list of certain cancers and diseases that are already there that they've been able to obtain and see. The thing is what else is causing it? What else is it causing? That's what it is. So you have those. Let me see where it is, because is it this military exposures? No, that's different. But that's what I'm saying. That's what the VA is trying to make sure. That's at least that's what I think. See, like, look, how do I know I have a presumptive exposure to burn pits? And it goes down the list: Afghanistan, Djibouti, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Uzbekistan, Yemen, the airspace above any of these locations on or after August 2nd of 1990. Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, the UAE, airspace above that. So I think this is the one that I show. So here are the types of exposures. You got Agent Orange, asbestos, birth defects. You got burn pits and other specific ones. Contact with mustard gas, lewisite, contaminated water in Lejeune, Gulf War, Southwest Asia, Gulf War, Afghanistan, Project 112 with Project Shad. I'm not sure what those two. I gotta see. Project 112 with Project Shipboard Hazard and stuff like that. Extreme. I don't think anybody knew. I don't think anybody was thinking about it when it was just like dealing with those burn pits, and they're like, nobody was really thinking. It was just like, you know what? I shouldn't be inhaling this shit. Literally. That's literally and figuratively saying that. I shouldn't be inhaling shit. I should not be inhaling this shit. Nobody thought that. It was just like, you know what? This is what we got to do. We're going to do it. That's how the military basically had us doing. Nobody thought about, damn, why am I smelling shit? Why am I smelling burning shit? And anything else that was fucking mixed into that shit. Those things there is just like, damn. See, because then they have it here. Illnesses within 1 year after discharge. But that's not it. But these are the exposures to hazardous materials. As many as 60,000 veterans volunteered for medical research for the U.S. biological and chemical programs between 1942 and 1975. You can get medical care through the U.S. Army if you volunteer for this research and have an injury or illness directly caused by your participation. But these are all the different things. Agent Orange. But it's just basically telling you to fill it. So this is where it gets more specific. Cancers caused by Agent Orange exposure. So it shows you bladder cancer, chronic B-cell leukemia, Hodgkin's disease, multiple myeloma, non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, prostate cancer, respiratory cancers, and some soft tissues sarcomas. That's what Agent Orange. Depends on what it is, Vital, depending on your thing. If you get medically discharged, that would be a med board. It depends on what the med board process is. What it is, you're going to get your DOD rating, and then you're going to get your VA rating on top of that. That's something Dash is dealing with now because he's getting medically med boarded. But it depends on what you're getting med boarded for. And that rating will go into your VA rating, and that will give you a percentage also. But this is just for Agent Orange. Asbestos. How do I know if I have a health condition caused by my contact with asbestos? Get tested if you work in these areas. Mining, milling, shipyards, construction, carpentry, demolition, flooring, roofing. That's that. Birth defects. It has a breakdown of, is my child eligible for VA benefits? Because that was something that was passed on to kids. So that's information there. Burn pits. Are you eligible? What it is? And these are cancers that are now presumptive. So you got brain cancer, gastrointestinal cancer of any type. So anything to do with your digestive system, damn near. Glioblastoma, I don't even know what that is. Glioblastoma, GM, also known as glioma multiforme, is a fast-growing and aggressive brain tumor that affects the brain and spinal cord. That's what that one is, folks. I didn't know what glioblastoma was. Head cancer of any type, kidney cancer, lymphoma of any type, melanoma, neck cancer of any type, pancreatic cancer, reproductive cancer of any type, respiratory cancer of any type. That's just the list for presumptive stuff. So this is stuff that veterans have shown to have. This is stuff that veterans have been shown to have and are now considered presumptive. Basically because you were under the burn pit and toxic exposure conditions. So like I said, when you receive your documentation, basically with your ratings and stuff like that, at the bottom end of it, there should be something that, hey, because of your time in service, you have been placed under the burn pit registry, or you are within the burn pit registry because of your time in service and the locations that you served in. And that'll say that. So now, if you were to develop any of these issues, this would be something that you would make sure that you are notifying the VA so that the VA provides care for you. That's why it's just like, and stuff like this. These illnesses are now presumptive. Asthma, bronchitis, obstructive pulmonary disease, rhinitis, sinusitis, bronchiolitis or obliterative bronchiolitis, emphysema, granulomatous disease, interstitial lung disease, pleuritis, pulmonary fibrosis, and sarcoidosis. And that's if you fall into this. So look at these are all the stuff right there that they're basically saying that we, after observation that we've seen from talking to vets and vets registering and coming to us from these service times. So all those Iraq and Afghanistan veterans that have multiple deployments and we're dealing with multiple burn pits and different locations, that's something you should look out and pay attention for. Yeah. CS gas isn't bad. I was chemical. You don't got to worry about that. Don't worry about that one. That one you get exposed to, it's still some sort of exposure, and that's why they limited the amount that you can use in a mass confidence chamber now. Because before, while going through, you just put capsules on capsules on capsules on capsules on capsules where you couldn't see across the room because of how much CS gas there was. Now, you see some of these videos, and I'm like, is there any gas in there? Did they actually cook anything? It's like the powder time. And you're not supposed to cook the capsules anymore. It's just the powder. Fuck that shit. We dumped the whole thing in there. Open that shit up to it and then throw the capsules in there. Threw everything in there. Everything I cooked. That was probably not healthy too. But I'm a chemical soldier, so I know I'm going to fall under some of this shit. Hopefully I don't. My hope is I don't. But those are things that people don't realize. You went through those CS chambers. That isn't good to, if you decided to breathe that shit in the whole time, it isn't good. Yes, it was great for cleaning your sinuses, but no, it was not great for you to continue to deal with. So that's something that needs to be realized also. So that's something that you need to ensure you know, and you need to ensure that you are aware of. These are all the different items. Hold on, let me move this here. I gotta fix this because with my vertical screen, it's just like it's difficult because it like minimizes it and then it like makes it too large for me to actually have that visual. So that's the one thing. But these are those issues that people deal with. These are the separate issues that are in play when it comes to you being a service member and being around those burn pits. If you served in any of those locations and areas, this is something that you have to keep in mind and have to be aware of. You may fall under, if you were in any of those locations, and it basically says it, on or after September 11th, if it was Afghanistan, Djibouti, Egypt, Jordan, Lebanon, Syria, Uzbekistan, Yemen, any of those in those airspace, you have presumption of exposure. If it was on or after August 2nd of 1990, Bahrain, Iraq, Kuwait, Oman, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Somalia, United Arab Emirates, any of that airspace. If you served in any of these locations on or after August 2nd, you still have a presumption. So basically, if you were in the Arabian Sea, Gulf of Aden, Gulf of Oman, the neutral zone between Iraq and Saudi Arabia, the Persian Gulf, or the Red Sea, you still fall under burn pit exposure. So keep in mind that it's not only if you were damn sifting. It's not only because you were sifting. It's not only because you were burning the shit literally. It's just like anything in that airspace, they're basically saying like, hey, there was a lot of toxins and a lot of stuff that was put into the air in those locations during that time period. So basically, if you served in any of those areas or you did anything within those areas, you were stationed there, you did a deployment, you did a rotational deployment, you did anything of the sort, you are basically presumptive, you have a presumptive condition of claiming any of those things for toxic exposure. So that's one thing you got to keep in mind. It doesn't mean that you were there the whole time. If you served at any capacity at any time on there, that should be on your medical records and your medical file. It should be on your DD-214. If you got that deployment into one of those locations, whether it was rotational or not, it is still an overseas rotation. It might not have been a combat deployment. It could be a combat deployment. It could have been an overseas deployment or just a rotational deployment. Any of those fall under that, and you served in that time, you are going to be able to register through the burn pit registry or any of those other registries. Each one of them, like I said, there's Agent Orange, asbestos, mustard gas. The Camp Lejeune water contamination, that you basically had to be basically a Marine. If you were a Marine in Lejeune, you are going to have that exposure because you were drinking that water. That water was messed up in that there. Yes, the DD-214 is your document of basically your time in service, and it has everything it should have. Your awards, your time in service, your deployments, any most of the time it does also have like the jobs you had or like the credentialing you got through there, whether it's a master driver, battle staff, all that stuff. It's in there because that's stuff that you would provide also. But it's keeping in mind, it's just like you may get sent there after the fact now. I was just like, look, the Middle East is getting hot. So all these active duty service members right now, if you are going to end up going to one of these locations, you are going to fall into that criteria for toxic exposure. It's not just because, hey, it was only the people that deployed. No, if you are going over there on a rotational thing to assist Israel or to assist anybody or anybody in those areas and you stop by one of those locations, you can claim toxic exposure. And that's why I say it's important, because the thing is these are the items that people have been shown to have. These are the toxic exposure is basically there for that reason, so that service members have that available and have that information that is showing like, hey, you served in this area, you are presumptive for these conditions. Basically, I don't want anybody to have any of these conditions. I would hope nobody has to go through that. But the thing is depending on how much you were exposed to or what it was, you can develop any one of these cancers. If you can develop any one of these cancers, that is basically, you have to make sure I was just like extreme. So the question is, why now? All of the presumptives will quickly kill you. The VA. The thing is I think the reason why the VA and people entities is doing this is not because of the VA. It's because of organizations like the VFW and the American Legion, which are the two largest nonprofit organizations for veterans. The issue is that now you are probably seeing within these organizations, you are seeing that a lot of these vets are coming up with these cancers. A lot of these vets are coming through a lot of issues. If you served in Desert Storm, you're part of this. Because those Vietnam vets are the ones right now that dealt with a lot of the Agent Orange. And those are the ones that are the biggest number in those organizations right now. Those Vietnam vets are the older ones right now, and those are the ones that are in the organization, and they're the ones that are dealing with a lot of it. But the thing is it took so long to realize that it was just like, damn, this person developed cancer, but they didn't have a way of tying it in. But then they started looking at it, just like, you know what, damn, a lot of these Vietnam vets is having cancer. There has to be something connecting it. There has to be something tying into why are all these veterans having cancer. And the BFW and the American Legion are the easiest way to notify that and see that, because it's just like, you know what? We deal with these veterans. We see all these veterans. All these veterans lining up. Next thing you know, just like, hey, man, I got diagnosed with cancer. I got this cancer. I got that cancer. And it's just like when you have your whole organization that people sign up to be a part of because of the assistance and the benefits that that organization provides, and they're all coming up with cancer, it's just like, holy shit. I was just like, we need to do something about this. And that's why the BFW and the American Legion are one of the bigger organizations, but they have those connections to the House of Representatives of Veterans Committee. Jose, bro, what do you mean? What did the VA deny you for? And it was just like, that's the thing that people need to realize. It's just like, all this stuff is there, but it's just like, now it's a visual of actually tying all these issues together where veterans are being realized. And notice it's just like, these veterans are dealing with these cancers now. All of them are developing cancer. It's just like, it's not just like you magically, it can't be a coincidence that all these veterans just have cancer. There has to be something tied to it. So it's just like, hey, we started realizing like, hey, the air in these locations was not good. Agent Orange was something that they were using a lot in Vietnam. And service members there, all that guerrilla warfare, they didn't know they could be rubbing up against it, and it was all in the air. That's something that inhaled. When you inhale toxic fumes, look what happens to people. That's just off of like regular stuff at home. You got to be a bit more specific, Jose. Like, what did they deny you? What, like, how did you claim stuff? What did you claim, and how did they deny you? Did you have the proper documentation? Did the stuff not get put incorrectly? Like, that's the stuff that is just like it's information that you need to provide like that to make sure that you are being assisted and your compensation is being taken care of. Because that's the thing. It's just like the VA is gonna deny a claim that you don't fully develop. If you don't have a fully developed claim, the VA will deny you. If you don't have the documentation, the imagery, X-ray, MRI, CAT scan, buddy letters, any of that stuff, it's there. And it's like, the question is just like, why does the government not why don't the government take care of the VA? The problem is that there's a lot of us. And that's the one thing a lot of people fail to realize. This is something that I look into. There's about 19 million veterans alive. 19 million veterans alive. Out of those 19 million, it is now up to like, I think I saw it was like 7.8 or 8 point something, like close in that range, that are now actually using the VA resources. A lot of those, it was like 2 years ago, it was about 6 million. The reason why it claimed and climbed so high was because of the fact that it was the PACT Act that did that. And that's what started a lot of these claims when it came to Agent Orange, toxic exposure, mostly burn pits, radiation exposure and stuff like that. Because it's just like, that's what happens. A lot of people go through these processes and they think that it's just like, it's a simple thing like that. With the PACT Act, if you have one of these cancers or one of these issues, it is now a clear method of showing like, okay, I am dealing with this because of my time in service, because I served in this location. And this location is known to have this hazard or this exposure to in this location was because of this. If you were in Vietnam, it was Agent Orange. If you were in any of those locations that's highlighted here, could have been burn pits, could have been shit that they put in the air, could have been anything of the sort. They're not specifying exactly what it was, but they're just basically saying like, hey, since you served in this area, there is a high probability that if you end up with one of these issues, it was caused by the service and they will take care of it. Because you got to realize, cancer treatment is fucking expensive. So now think about it this way. Think about all the veterans that have been dealing with all these issues before 2022, because the PACT Act got instituted August 9th of 2022. Before August 9th of 2022, any veteran that was dealing with one of these cancers or something like that, it was not service connected. So they had to go out of pocket to do it. Like there was I know there was a piece on, like it was like a veteran that had been paying for like treatment for like 50 years or some shit. And now that the PACT Act's there, the VA is covering it. But he was going 50 years paying for treatments and all that stuff. It was just like stuff that he was dealing with because of it. And then it got taken care of because now it's just like it's presumptive and it's being tied into it. Doesn't always happen like that. Some people just have the lower level parts of the cancer. Some people have passed because of these cancers because they didn't know where it developed from. Because it's kind of hard that you healthy as an ox and working like an ox, and all of a sudden you got brain cancer. It doesn't run in your family. You never had this issue, and all of a sudden now you're dealing with this. Those are the things that people need to realize. It's just like toxic exposure is real, and the VA understands it's real. So it's like, hey, if you are dealing with these things, we need you to come make a file. We need you to file. We need you to register so that way we keep a listing of where all these people are at. Because once you have that, it's a lot easier. It's a lot easier to have that, and it's just like a lot simpler to understand that, like, hey, I have this, and this is what I'm dealing with. this is what it is. But the thing is like, remember, the VA is overwhelmed right now because, like I said, it went from 6 million 2 years ago to 8 point something million now off of the VA thing. So the thing is Recluse is just like, I wouldn't say that they weren't aware of it. They were aware to a certain amount. But the thing is that's why it's difficult to say when it comes to like medical stuff and stuff like that. It's hard to explain and put those things together because of the fact that it's just like anything in the medical realm, when they try it out or something, there's never 20 something plus years of research on most of this medication. Shit, look at the COVID. COVID, they said that they were working on it for some time, but it was just like, yeah, how long was that? Did you observe people 20 years after the fact? Did you observe people for 25 years, 30 years, 40 years, 50 years? Because you got to look at the Vietnam. Vietnam was like, that shit was in the 70s. That was 50 years ago. There's none of those medications and none of that stuff that these people were actually looking at 50 years ago. And it was just like, you know what? We're going to put this in somebody and we're going to see what happens. I was just like, look at the Tuskegee Airmen experiment where they were putting syphilis into the pilots. That was just a snippet of them seeing how they reacted in that time period. There's no study showing what happened to these people 50 years after the fact. So it's just like they knew things were going to happen, but it was just like the VA is not like, we know exactly what this is going to develop. Because the thing is like, they probably just like, you know what, this will probably develop a cancer, but they didn't. Because you know what, they weren't supposed to say Agent Orange. That's why they denied it. They denied a bunch of stuff. They denied that Agent Orange was there, but the thing is just like, those vets know it was there. They saw it. They dealt with it, and that's the information that's there. But it's just like I said, it's a lot of those it's the BFW and American Legion. A lot of those Vietnam vets are now in that age, and those are the ones that are the majority. When you look at those VFW posts that is just like that they're in Congress or something like that, when do you see a BFW member that's like my age? That still isn't full of gray hairs, because I got gray hairs, but isn't full of just like straight gray hairs. You don't see that. Because those are the ones explaining and fighting for it. The same way with us. A lot of these Iraq and Afghanistan vets right now, they ain't fighting for shit. They just figure, I'm going to get my disability and I'm going to leave it like that. I'm going to get my 100% and I'm not going to file again. I'm not going to poke the bear. And it was just like, okay, you're going to develop something like this and you don't want to file because you're scared about losing your 100%. Now you're going to end up paying out of pocket for something that the VA calls or the military calls towards you. That's why it's just like it's a slippery slope to say, hey, you shouldn't file for something and you shouldn't do anything after you get 100%. Because the thing is some of these things are still there. Some of the shit we dealt with still hasn't developed. It's still changing us now. The thing is that, like I said, it's like a lot of the times, most of the stuff that when it comes to medical and stuff like that, people don't know the long lasting effects. Most of the time when it comes to any of these issues, people know the effects that are ongoing right now. Like what is being caused right now? What is the issue right now? That's how they're looking at it. What is the issue right now? And it's just like, if this is what you're dealing with now, if that's the issues you're dealing with now, that's what people need to realize, and that's what people ain't looking at. And it's just like a lot of the stuff that people are dealing with is stuff that's going to, we still got down the road. All these Afghanistan and Iraq veterans, like I said, they just getting out. So whatever they may have gotten from those burn pits is maybe like what? Maybe 20 years old? Maybe. And if you notice with a lot of these Vietnam vets that's coming up with the stuff, it's like 40, 50 years down the road that they're developing these cancers. It's not cancers that they just had right afterwards. It's stuff that they're developing after like 40 or 50 years. So that's why it's like we got to look at it the same way. Just like all aside Iraq, Afghanistan, all this, we got to look at it just like, well, that is one of the reasons why the military is having recruiting issues. Is just like, because all of this shit is coming out. All the bad is coming out. All the bad is coming out. I was just like, a lot of these Iraq and Afghanistan veterans have kids, and what are they telling their kids? Fuck no. You know that meme that he goes, fuck no. That's what all those military veterans are doing right now. When they be like, yo, your kids should join the military. Fuck no. And that's what's ongoing right now. Because all that stuff is going on. It's just like, damn, I went through this. I dealt with that. I see what's going on. I was like, hell no, I'm not putting my kid through that. I was just, look what I did. Look at the stuff I had to go through, and look at what I don't want my kid to go through that. And a lot of it is just like, I made that sacrifice, so my kid isn't going to have to make. My kids are not going to have to make that sacrifice. I made that sacrifice, but my kids ain't going to have to. If they choose to, they gonna be prepared. But it's something that happens. It's something that doesn't get notified. People don't talk about it. People aren't aware, and that's the stuff that we need to make sure people get aware of. It still is, Annette. It still is minorities and poor people, and it's always a minority thing, because the thing is it's a way out of the system. It's a way out for some people. If you've been struggling and stuff like that, it's just like, hey, you get paid every 1st and the 15th. You get provided a house. You get provided electricity. You don't got to pay for water. You get food. I was just like, that's a big difference for somebody that's struggling on a nightly or daily basis. And the thing is just like, the problem is a lot of the times is that when we join the military, a lot of people don't know the resources that are available. The military has tons of options. It has tons of benefits. It's just that shit doesn't get broadcasted. Yeah, and that's stuff extreme, and that's stuff that comes from doing this time in service that they don't talk about and they don't know. But then it's just like, when they start realizing that all these things are tied together, and it's just like, bro, these people haven't done anything else, but they're coming up with the same issues. What happened? And that's when they realized the PACT Act. Because I said, it depends on the representation you have in Congress, and that's why I tell people, you got to make sure you're paying attention to your congressmen. It's not only Donald Trump and Kamala Harris. You got to make sure you're paying attention to who your House representatives are, who your senators are, because those are some of the biggest factors of who writes the law. Because I can tell you right now, most people have no idea who was the one that sponsored the PACT Act. I know who it is. But I can tell you, most veterans have no idea who sponsored the PACT Act. Most people are going to be like, oh, it happened under the Biden administration. Biden didn't write that shit. Harris didn't write that shit. Anything that got passed during the Trump administration, Trump didn't write that shit. Pence didn't write that shit. It's representatives and senators in the Veteran Affairs committees, the Senate committee, and the House committee that write all these policies. Representative Takano from California, a Democrat House of Representative, was the one that sponsored and wrote most of the bill for the PACT Act. A Democrat from California, which is in the House of Representatives, not even a senator, he was the one that sponsored the PACT Act. But most people won't know that. It was like, most people don't realize those little instances and that information goes a long way, because your House of Representatives and stuff like that is who you need to call. When you having issues with your claim that is going crazy, send a message to your representative. They quick to help. And most people don't realize that. Most people are like, you got a senator and you got representatives. Start emailing the shit out of people. Hey, I am a service member that's dealing with this. I'm having this, and that. Just send whatever your problem is, and they gonna help you. Because the last thing they want to do is be like, hey, the last thing they want on their plate is like, man, I spoke to this veteran. This veteran reached out for help, and they didn't even help me. That's the last bit of publicity that they want to hear. That's the last bit of publicity that any congressperson wants on their plate. Like, yo, they messaged me and I said, nah, I ain't helping them. That's the last thing. That's the easiest way to lose votes. It's just like, Easy with it, but you have that as a resource. That's what you're there. They serve you. You got to reach out to them. The same way the VA serves you, and you have like how we spoke on like on Thursday. We had the same thing, and we spoke about all the different things that you can get through the VA that most people don't know. Most people don't know about all the extra stuff you can get through the VA for care. You can get massage therapy. You can get aquatic therapy. You can get acupuncture. You can get so much different shit that most people don't know of that is available to you. The thing is most people don't know who to ask or what to ask. You get all that shit provided for you, and it's like eye surgery. Depending if you on service, if you in service, they might give you LASIK. You can apply to get LASIK while you're in service. You can do that while in service. Out of service, I'm not too sure if you can do LASIK. I don't think you can do LASIK outside, but while you're in, you can provide that shit. You can get dental implants if you lost teeth and stuff like that. You can get dental implants while in service if you're eligible for it. I got a fucking tooth implant. Army did it for me. There's a bunch of shit out there for people to realize. It's just like you can't just say the VA out there to help you, but you ain't asking the questions to get help. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to make that statement. It's just like, you know what? The VA ain't shit. Well, if you ain't asking the VA to help you and you ain't asking about the resources and the benefits that are available to you and your entitlements since you served in the military and you can obtain all of these, you ain't shit either. Sorry to say it. But if you ain't doing your due diligence and you ain't doing the research, it's kind of hard. I was just like, and that's the thing. A lot of people, like, a lot of these programs are out there for service members, active duty, and veteran. The thing is that where do you get this information? Because the information isn't just shot out to people. Shit, most of the times in service, it's funny when you have to explain to your supervisor, like, you know, you could do this, and they'd be like, word? I was like, I've been in the Army 5 years longer than you, and I didn't even know that existed, type shit. It was just like, what you mean? It was like, how did you not know this? It was like, you're supposed to be teaching me this shit, and they don't know it. So that's why it's like, you have to look into all these programs. The VA has tons of programs. There is so much available through the VA that most veterans just don't know. And that's why it's just like having these kind of conversations. And sometimes it's just like, hey, I may pivot from one thing and talk about something else, but it's just like, hey, you may ask me one question. And that's why I say when it comes to these workshops, it's like, ask any questions you have. There's no such thing as a dumb question when it comes to these workshops. Why? Because your question may answer another veteran's question. Or it might answer yours, or I might answer it, and it might lead me to go into another topic that you had no idea existed, and then you learn even more information. So it's like, it's best to always ask those questions. And I'm not the only one that I know I'm one of the ones that does most of the lives on YouTube. I know other channels do the lives, but I know they're not as consistent. I do this every Sunday. I'm doing it more also on TikTok now on Sundays. I even did last week. Last week I did Twitch, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube all at the same time. And it was just like, my computer resources can't manage that. So that's why I was just like, let's do it. Let's do it on my phone on TikTok, and let's do YouTube. YouTube is the one that I like doing because it gives you the ability to showcase it to more people. Facebook, I'm live. That's it. After that, you ain't going to see that again. Twitch, I think it's like 2 weeks that it's gone. YouTube, you can watch my video forever. You can come back and be like, yo, he talked about this thing. I can go back and just research and see what it was he said. That's why I like doing YouTube mostly, because YouTube does that. TikTok is just like, I'm live. That shit disappears. You ain't seeing it again. So on YouTube, you can go, you can research it. I give you the information. I show you where it is, and you go, you ran across my feed yesterday. Thanks for helping us vets. I was like, and that is, it's the least I can do to help vets, because the thing is I'm a vet, and I went through this situation. And that's why I tell people, the reason I do this is because I went through this situation. I went through the situation where I wasn't aware of what my benefits were, what my entitlements were, what my tax exemptions were, what my disability compensation I can get, and also assist my family with it. All the dependent issues you get. Like people don't know about the dependent education and assistance, the Chapter 35, which gives a stipend to um, your family member. If you're 100% PNT, you get a stipend. Your family can get a stipend. If it's not that extreme, it's just like the other thing. The other reason is just like it's to help vets, but the thing is just like because I see what other channels do. Because I started mine because I saw other channels. I saw other channels and what they do. What ticked me off a lot about other stuff is just like I give my experience because it's just like I ain't got nothing to hide. I was just like I'm 100% PNT. I did it the way I did it because I had all my documentation. I had all the things. I didn't have to lie about it. I didn't have to like exaggerate things like some veterans do be doing. I don't have to try. I am not here to try to tell you how to maneuver the system. I'm here to show you where the resources are, where the information is, where it is that you will do what you want to do with said information. A lot of these other channels, what they were doing is just like, oh, you got to make sure to get the 100%. This is how you do it. And it's not a one size fits all for everybody. Everybody goes through different issues. Everybody has different disabilities. Everybody has different claims. But I'm not going to tell you it's a one size fit all. If you have a question about a certain ailment, let me show you where this ailment is. Oh, it's in the Code of Federal Regulations. Hey, this is the information you need to look at. This is what you need to specify. This is what you need to do. What you do with it, it's on you. You getting a diagnosis has nothing to do with me because you got to go do the work. It's basically me. I'm trying to lead veterans to see where they have to do it so that they don't go out of the way also to pay organizations like the one that got sued by Texas, like what was it, VA Claims Insider, another one of the channels that I was watching when I first started. And I was just like, they're charging veterans how much? You charging a veteran how much to give them information that's free? I was just like, bro, it's the Code of Federal Regulations. And you're charging a veteran thousands of dollars to get assistance? It was just like, no, I'm going to show you where you can find this information directly. Here's the .gov link. Not no .com. Here's the .gov link. And it was just like, but that's the thing, Extreme. A lot of people give up so easily because it's overwhelming. And then once people get overwhelmed, they decide to go to one of these associations and these entities that are just like, hey, we're going to take like 10% of your back pay. Bro, what? That's my money. I was like, you're assisting me? I was just like, it's not even like people are doing everything. It was just like, you are literally going through a person's medical record, which they could have done. You are telling them what to claim, which they could have learned if they went through the Code of Federal Regulations. And the thing is it tells you what will give you what criteria, what rating. Like here, like this is right here. I have it. I always pop it up. Hold on, let me switch it to the thing. Code of Federal Regulations. This is the cheat sheet, as people want to call it. I don't call it a cheat sheet. There's an informational sheet, but some people use it as a cheat sheet because it tells you what information will get you what. Extreme, appreciate you stopping by, man. Take care. But that's information that's there. Tells you the combined rating table. Then it goes down the list. It gives you all the information you need, and then it goes into the different systems. Hit the table of contents, and it breaks that down for you. Musculoskeletal, so anything to do with muscles, joints. Special sense organs. Auditory, hearing. Infectious diseases or immune disorders. Cardiovascular, respiratory, digestive, genitory. That one. Can't even say it. Gynecological, hematological, lymphatic, the skin, endocrine system, neurological conditions, mental conditions. Everything is provided for you in this document alone. You don't got to pay nobody for that. I was just like, I was frustrated at the fact that it was just like, people are actually charging people to actually go through a document that they themselves can do. I was just like, and that's the thing. Most veterans will get tired because, like I said, you going into the VA.gov site, going into the VA.gov site and trying to find a specific answer or specific question or whatever the case may be. I was like, hold on, I'm going to try this. Private cruise. Oh, it's not showing up. Private cruise. shut up. Okay. Provide chat code of regulations. I don't know if it'll read it. Provide chat code of regulations. Am I saying it right? I might be saying it wrong. Hold on. Give me 1 second and I'm going to get y'all that. I got my little assistant. Did it do it? Oh, yeah, it did provide it. But for some reason, it's only showing it up to, it only sent it to thing. Hold on. Provide chat, code of regulations. I was like, for some reason, it's not sending it to private crews. Provide chat code of regulations. There you go. See, I got my little assistant now too. So I got my assistant there that assists with giving information and stuff like that. So that's something I tend to use, and that's something that's there that is just like, hey, you use that. But Code of Federal Regulations. Yes, and the M21 is the other one that a lot of people don't know about. Most of that one I'm still looking into, and I'm still reading it and trying to get more information so I can start using that as a secondary resource. But that can be used as a primary resource also. That one give me a second. I think I have that one. Yep. This is a longer link, but that's another link that basically people can use. And that's the M21 resource. I was trying to find a shorter way of finding it, but that gives you a ton of information and stuff that's in there also for you to use and stuff like that. And this is information that's available to all veterans. All veterans can find this information. All veterans have this information available to them. It's just basically finding it and knowing about it, and then being able to do the research to find the information that is needed. And that's stuff that is just like, we need to make sure we're teaching veterans, because the thing is there's no reason why veterans should be paying thousands of dollars to do something they could have done themselves. No reason why veterans. So it's just like, there's no reason why you should be paying that much for something that you yourself are able to find this resource and use it, obtain it, get the information you need, and do what you need with it. Well, there's nothing for us to go on. We were just happy. Yep, trust me, I know that. It's still kind of like that now. Some things in the military don't change. I was just like, most vets don't speak on the issues they have. The amount of vets that deal with PTSD, deal with depression, deal with anxiety, and it's all caused by the military and all the shit that they made us go through, and the stuff that they basically like grained into your thought process. It was just like, a lot of vets don't talk about that. A lot of vets don't talk about the injuries they had or the stuff like that, because it made you weak or made you look like a person that wasn't fit for the military. Then it was just like, at the end of the day, the same people that were telling you that are the same people that were filing as soon as they got out. But they were telling you were shit. But the first ones that were filing and shit was them. So it's just like, the program has improved over time. It still needs improvement because you still have updating and stuff like that. I do think that what's going to end up happening a lot is that they're going to start instituting artificial intelligence into it. A lot of claims are going to start being dealt with artificial intelligence. And that's what a lot of people probably like skeptical about it and stuff like that. But I think artificial intelligence, if it is brought into a proper way of using it and it is tested and evaluated, it will help create less of a backlog. The reason I say this is because the thing is The same way Control F works for a VA rater, but this is on a personal person. This is on a mental capacity of a human person compared to a computer, which you can program and just like, hey, every time you see this, or just make it that AI does the Control F for you. If somebody submits their whole medical record, which is 900 plus pages and shit like that, and AI can identify every single time a back incident was mentioned, and then do what I basically tell people is just like, hey, grab all your files and separate them by issue and then submit them that way. If AI could do that for you and you don't have to do it, that goes a long way. That goes a long way in speeding up the process, where now you're allowing a VA rater to actually spend the time going more in depth into a specific thing without consuming all the time to finding those specific things. That's just it's just me as a thought process. Hopefully the VA recognizes that, they use that idea. I know I ain't gonna get credit for it, but it's okay as long as it's helping vets and it's making shit go faster, and there's not that many the appeals and review board is like ages long. As just like for VA court cases, which one specifically, Annette, when it comes to like VA court cases? Because are you talking like higher level review? Or are you like, because I'm not sure. Oh, I just picked that one again. That's not what I wanted to. Because I'm not sure what you're referring to as VA court cases. But those are different. It's the higher level review. I don't have. These are the things I need to make sure I make like specific. Because this is this link. And there's that link for higher level reviews. But like I said, how the hell was I supposed to find this shit? Look at where it is. It is decision reviews and appeals, right? Okay. See that link? Oh, damn. I didn't even show y'all while I was doing that. Hold on. Give me 1 second so I can show it so y'all can see what I was doing. Yes, Vital. You would most likely have to be at your unit and go through your dental unit at the unit you're at so that they can provide it. And most of the time when it comes to any dental work, most units and most locations are not going to work with you if you are close to leaving. So basically they want to make sure that if, like, let's say they're doing braces, you have to make sure that you're doing that as soon as you get there, so that way you have the remainder of the time for them to evaluate you, tighten it, and make sure it's done, so that way you can try to leave that installation without the braces. They don't try to do it most of the time. If you're like leaving from one place to another, they don't like doing that, because it's just like, okay, we're not going to keep on seeing you for it, and then another place might see it differently or whatever the case may be. So for the court cases, I'm not sure, and I'm going to have to look into something like that. Let me see. I think I got something for you. 1 second. You can go to the Veteran Board of Appeals. Okay. There's also the Board of Appeals one, which is this one. There's that link, which takes you to the Board of Appeals. What are VA court cases? So the VA court cases are basically when you are filing for a higher level appeal, because it basically goes through court. So sometimes you can get a veteran attorney, which will basically fight for your claim when it goes into the decision-making process. So if something was wrong, or they have to fight for a specific thing that basically you are claiming you have, or may be incorrect, an attorney will go to court for you, with you, in order to fight that claim. A lot of the times that happens with one of the channels I was watching also, forget the name of the channel, but they were going through it and they were checking it, and it was because a veteran was basically receiving TDIU, so basically temporary, because of the unemployability, they were receiving that 100%. But they were working for a protected job, because that's what the writing basically says. It has to be a protected job for you to be able to make more money than what it is and what the poverty level is. I think that person was making over like $200,000 or something. So, but it was a protected job, and it was like a self-employed, kind of like a family operated thing. And he was fighting for it because there was no specification as to how much a person would be able to make if they were under a protected job. If they're not in any kind of employment, or they are, but it's a regular job, the most you can make is below the poverty line, which is about $15,000 something dollars. So, but depending on where you fall under, that changes basically. So that's where the cases change. But this shows you this, and it shows you request a higher level review, submit your request in person, which do it online. What happens next? What if the reviewer finds an error? See, it was like, this is called a duty to assist error. To fix this error, we'll close the review and open a new claim to gather the missing evidence. We'll also send you a letter to tell you the steps we'll take to fix the error. Then we'll help you get the missing evidence and decide your case on this. So it depends. And then sometimes you want to hire a lawyer in that case, because it's like, y'all messed up, but y'all starting a new claim instead of going off of the claim date that I first originally did. So stuff like that. But it all depends on the case and what they messed up and what was messed up. But that's there. But the Board of Veteran Appeals has that. Resources, benefits. Trying to see where it is, where it has the cases. Because then you have the Court of Veteran Appeals also. Court of Appeals for Veteran. Oh, here it is. So United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. Copy. Let me bookmark this. What was the hell? So this is one that has the information on the veteran courts cases and stuff like that, where you can find and search for stuff. So it shows you how to appeal, court forms, fee scheduling. Oh damn, I can't see that. So that's this one. So United States Court of Appeals for Veterans Claims. And just a link to provide you the stuff here. Shows it here. These are the different things you can click on. Need to make this smaller. Hold on. Then it shows on the different links and the different places you can click on within this. So this will give you the information where it gets class action cases, state cases, active panel cases, orders and opinions, information about practitioners. So it gives you what it is, so that you can find decisions and stuff like that and base it off of what you're going to do and what you want to claim. And then that's also good for like your attorney. If your attorney does that, they probably already have this information there, which basically will provide that information for them. So they're probably going to be using this as a resource as a veteran attorney to basically find, like it says, view recent decisions and stuff. And it has it here. So I'm going to just click on the first one. So what does it say? Memorandum decision that after consideration of the parties pleading and review, of the record, the part of the bar board's March 13, 2020 decision denying disability compensation for a bilateral hearing loss is vacated and the matter is remanded for further proceedings consistent with this decision or remand. And it just goes through the case. It goes through the different documentation. So you can even click on the specific documentation and it gives you the full actual like document. But you have to basically click on one of these. You would have to click on one of these and it'll show like the proceedings after everything. So record of proceedings, that one is locked. This requested document cannot be displayed. Possible reasons: you do not have permissions to view this document. You are not logged in. On the document cannot be found. So certain documents they'll probably cover for confidentiality, but then everything else they will provide that information there so that you can use it. So it's another resource to use. Previous court cases determining and fighting for certain individuals. So, and it has a bunch of them. I don't know who this Dennis dude is, but Dennis is going against a lot of people, and maybe that's the court thing. All decisions and presidential opinions. Now, these are the ones that is basically that they may change stuff going forward. So these are the cases that set president, not like, president, like Biden president, but presidents like, this is something that we have found and we have made a case on, and this will possibly change something going forward. Or this will be the start of how we decide to go about this situation. I know one of those is, like I said, listening to the attorney's channel, that they were talking about the presidents being set for veterans collecting TDIU, and there being a certain limit possibly set for how much a person under TDIU can receive when they are working in a protected or a self-employed job. As compared to if you are working a regular job, you can only make below the poverty level, which I said is like about $15,000. But if you are working under a protected job, that's there. Because I think the issue is that some people are claiming it's a protected job because their job is providing them certain benefits or certain leniency. The thing is what is being found in that case is that some of those leniencies are being provided to them because of the Disability Act. So basically the Disability Act is saying that you need to provide this for individuals that have these disabilities. So it's not something that the job is doing above and beyond to make it a protected job. It's something that is required by law for them to provide. So that's basically, it's them fighting, saying like, hey, this isn't something that's protected. This is something that the job is providing because they're supposed to by law. Now, if they're providing something else that makes it so that you have a protected job, then that's one case. But if they're not, then you can't be collecting a whatever amount of salary because you are receiving your 100% because of the fact that you're unemployable. Kind of, it's a very tricky situation. But like I said, a lot of times this comes out of from veterans trying to maneuver the system. Once they try to maneuver the system, it causes precedents. You have court cases, you have issues, and then they find into it and they look into it and it's just like, you know what, you're doing this and this is causing a problem, or this is an issue that we haven't resolved. Okay, now we are going to make a regulation or make a change that nullifies this. So now a person that is TDIU and was working self-employed may only be able to make a certain amount after that decision, but that decision is still in the process, but stuff like that. But all right, y'all. I've been on for 2.5 hours. I always want to cut these down shorter so that people actually want to listen through and watch the whole thing after the fact, but that's all right. I appreciate everybody that has tuned in. Annette, thank you for the donation today, for the super. I appreciate that. Everybody on TikTok that gifted and also watched it. Like I said, we do this every Sunday, 12 noon Central Standard Time. We do this every Sunday just to educate and assist veterans. We had a pop-up one this past Thursday. That's something that I'm going to keep trying to do. Schoolwork may slow down for the next week or two, so I may be able to do a couple more pop-ups. But then back to that is back to schooling again. So it'll probably be just mostly Sundays. Tutorials I'm working on, like I said, most of the stuff will be for the remainder of the year. What I will be pushing out within the next week is the 2025 disability rates for special monthly compensation and for the regular disability rates, so that people have that information and have a video basically showing the rates for 2025 with the 2.5% increase to our adjustment. We have that. All the other stuff is a work in progress. I am still trying to make a digital product that will be, I will probably put that up for sale, but it's going to be something that if it's up for sale, you purchase it the first time, you will continue to get a lifetime of updates as I continue to update that document. So that's something that'll be there. Take some time to complete that, but that's going to be something like if you pay for it, for the rest, while I'm still operating, you will continue to get any updates that are made, any changes, and you will just get a new digital project just sent to you. So that way you are always up to date with any information throughout the process of you either filing for disability, or you have a family member that may be going through it, or a friend that's going through it, and they can use that as a resource so they can purchase it themselves. But besides that, again, thank you. Be good to one another, love one another, take care of one another, look out for one another, and stay marvelous while doing it at all times. I am Just Cruz. I'll be signing out for this week's Sunday workshop. As always, I appreciate y'all. Y'all take care. Enjoy the rest of y'all Sunday. I got some homework to get done, so appreciate y'all. I will see y'all next Sunday, definitely. Or I will see y'all on a pop-up thing. If you don't have notifications on, just make sure to put your notifications on so that way I can just you can see when I'm going live. I'll have my put your notifications on. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Notifications on. I'll start doing more pop-up workshops, but the one that's always consistent is always on Sundays. I know y'all watch football, family stuff, church. I try to change this time, but this is the best time that works for me to do it. And if you need assistance, you can take the time to do it. And that's all I got. Appreciate y'all. Vital, as always, my man. Well, I'll log in later. We'll get some. We'll get some in. But yeah. Annette, again, thank you. Extreme Recluse, thank you. Who else we had here? Dash, as always, thank you for stopping by. Slice Ahead, thank you for stopping by. Everybody that stopped by, thank you. Continue to work on yourselves. Continue to work on veterans. Continue to assist veterans as best we can. Just try to keep on educating them so that everybody, the next veteran is always better off than the next. And that way we'll have a system that hopefully protects and helps all veterans at all times. So love y'all. Take care. Peace.